welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely and hopefully learn something about wine. Well, that's the point now, isn't it? I'm going to get right into it. I had new winery that I'm not, two new wineries that I'm not familiar with. I got stuck there for a minute. Follette and Quivira. They're actually connected. Gary Follette met Pete Knight. They kind of created a partnership, and now Gary has his Follette wines and Quivira. Now Quivira is biodynamic. Follette doesn't say anything about being biodynamic, but Greg, is it Greg? Yeah, Greg Follette is big into understanding and making the wine in the vineyard. I know that's kind of a cliche thing that people say, but it's true. The fruit is really what makes a wine good, and of course the winemaker just doesn't want to screw it up. I can't tell you how many winemakers I have heard use that exact terminology. Just let the fruit do what it does, just don't mess it up. And so good fruit sources are very important, and Gary Follette, as I hope I'm saying that right, Follette, has worked with the same vineyards and the same vineyard managers for years and years, and he's very proud of that. And he has actually really looked at the chemistry side of winemaking and vineyard management, and hopefully inputs that into the wine. Now we're going to start out with the Follette Chardonnay North Coast, and this rolls in at $20, anywhere between 20 and 22 bucks depending on where you buy it. There you go. These are Washington State pricing. Of course, down in Cali you probably get it cheaper. Let's give it a little rinse. I'm very curious about these wines. I looked this up on the website. I watched a little interview. He is actually Greg was actually a bagpipe player. Realized he could not make a living on that. He said, I think when he's about 17 years old, he walked the vineyard with a winemaker, and fell in love with it and thought he would be into wine even at that young age. So let's see what we get on the nose. So he's big into Burgundy, which is not surprising. He does a Chardonnay and a Pinot Noir, and a lot of these guys out of Cali. This has a real golden color to it. I don't know if you can see that, but very golden. Has kind of that bread doughy, not super bread doughy, but almost like bread dough that's baked just a little bit, or like a sugar cookie dough that's just baked just a little bit. I'm getting a little vanilla action coming through. Very subtle, a little bit of white flowers. Get some wet stone action, which is probably what he's shooting for. That's, you know, when you're trying to make something, you know, like a Burgundy wine, minerality is a big part of that. Let's see what we get on the palate. I like the Chardonnay. It's very subtle. It doesn't have that big buttery, bombastic California Chardonnay sort of thing that happens a lot of times. It almost kind of has, you know, I'm not saying it has, but it has almost like that cement cask sort of edge to it that a lot of winemakers like to use, those cement casks. Definitely the oak influence is not powerful. I would say it's not a lot of new oak on this one. It's kind of like apples meet pears meet whetstone meets a little like you licked on a stainless steel plate. You get that stainless steel action big time on the back end of this wine. I like the subtleties of this wine. I like the nuances of this wine. I like the fact that it's not over oaked, but at the same time it has some of those definite Chardonnay characteristics that you're looking for if you're a Chardonnay drinker. I like that steeliness on the backside. It's like I just licked a stainless steel plate and that is kind of hanging on. I really like that. This is a very fresh Chardonnay. This would be a good, from the Northwest palate standpoint, it'd be a great seafood Chardonnay because it has that nice, it's not high in acid. I'm not going to say it's a high acid Chard, but it's very, very intricate and light, and it's delicate, and at the same time has some interesting characteristics to it. That's hard. That's a hard balance to strike. I really like this wine. I think it has just a slight enough buttery component to probably please those who like buttery Chardonnays. It's not overpowering. Like I said, it's very intricate. A lot of things going on with that. But at the very end, the very finish, you get that steely element coming through. I like that one. I'm going to go A-. I think that's a great Chardonnay for 20 bucks. We call that the post-off price, meaning that a lot of stores like mine, we reduce it down to 20 bucks. So you'll probably be able to get this like for $19.99 in Washington State. I think if you're into a Chardonnay that you want a little bit of butter, but you don't want overpowering, you want a nice delicate, this is a great food Chardonnay. Not high in acid, but that steely kind of mineral element really lends it to food. I like it. I'm going to go A-. I'm excited to try the Pinot Noir now, based on that experience. I've never had these before. Like that Chardonnay a lot. So this is a Follette, I think that's right, Follette Pinot Noir, North Coast. This rolls in at $20. 20 to 22. Cool label, by the way. Guy tending to the vines. Let's see what we get on the nose. Once again, very subtle. Get a little cola, root beer, sarsaparilla, cherries. Get just a hint of Asian spice, which is kind of exciting because Asian spice is a big part of Burgundian wines, wines from Burgundy. A lot of those Pinots will have Asian spice characteristics to them. So it's always exciting when a winemaker can actually attain that from whether it's California or Willamette Valley. You don't get them in all of them, but it's nice when they hit that particular aspect of a Pinot Noir. So he says North Coast because he obviously sources his fruits from various elements, probably Sonoma, areas like that, different vineyards. So he doesn't have a specific vineyard site, but he sources his fruit from many areas, so that's why he puts North Coast on there. Definitely get a little strawberry, like ripe strawberries on the back end, a little bit of red flowers. Let's see what we get on the palate. A nice Pinot from California. I mean, I get so used to Pinots from California being heavy. A lot of times they've been accused of putting Syrah, but in either case, they have that California sunshine aspect. This has just a little bit of that, but there's a lot of cherries on this. I get the sarsaparilla. Not so much the Asian spice on the palate, more on the nose and the palate. Good acidity, but it's not overbearing. It's very well integrated with the fruit. I get a little bit of that earth action, sort of a little bit of bark coming through, red flowers big time. Nice clean finish. This Pinot has really nice subtleties to it. Again, like the Chardonnay, it has a lot going on, but it's very understated. It's very delicate. It's very not soft is not the word I'm looking for, but just intricate would be the word I'm thinking of. Whew, can't talk. That'd be perfect with salmon. I mean, perfect. It has the good balance. Not as earthy as a Burgundy, not as mineral driven as a Burgundy. I'm going to go B+ on this Pinot. I think it's a really well made Pinot Noir. I like it. I think for those of you that are afraid to go Pinot Noir from Cali, because it is heavy, sometimes it is over the top fruit, which is okay from time to time. I don't have a problem with that. This would be a nice Pinot, and the price is right. $20, very reasonably priced. Now this is Quivira Zinfandel 2011. It's Dry Creek Valley, Sonoma County. And these guys partnered with Greg Follette. And these guys are biodynamic. Now I don't know how much they get into biodynamic. You know, there's all that kind of... biodynamic can have several different levels. But the idea is that they allow the earth to... It's sustainable. They use a lot of the products. They will take chicken manure. They have animals all over the place. They really cultivate the environment for the plant, bees and plants, and you know, they do all this stuff. And actually, these wineries are really good for the earth. You know, some of them go to the extent, like a lot of them do it by the moon cycle. I did not get that deep into it to see if they do it that way, but they pick by the moon cycle. You know, some of them bury the cow horn with manure in it in the ground. I'm not familiar with all the aspects of biodynamic. It's become kind of a, you know, an in thing. I'm not sure if it's necessarily the best way to go, but it certainly doesn't hurt. And a lot of these wineries are really helping the earth by what they do. And these guys are really into that. And if you look at their website, you'll see that their biodynamic level is up there with a lot of other wineries doing the same thing. But the main thing is it's sustainable. They plan a lot of, they reuse a lot of stuff that they use in the winery. They try to stay away from chemicals by all means. They use natural yeasts when they can. I mean, obviously there's times when they get stuck fermentation, they might have to inoculate with a certain kind of yeast. But they use that word, which I don't like. That's okay. They say they don't manipulate their wines. But, you know, I'll do a program on that word one of these days of why I don't like the word manipulate with wine, why I think it's unfair. But that being said, Quivira, Zinfandel, let's see what we get on the nose. Interesting kind of baking spice coming through, which I find very curious. A little bit of bark. There's definitely bark, like beauty bark coming through, but not the real pungent kind, just like it's been around for a while. You know, it's been laying on the ground for a while. That's what I'm getting. Get a little bit of currants coming through, a little bit of black raspberry. Let's see what we get on the palate. I like the Zin because it's not overpowering, and this is one of the things that happens with a lot of Zinfandel, is it becomes so fruit forward, so big and bombastic. A lot of people have a hard time with that, especially in the summertime when you're barbecuing. You're trying to avoid that big, huge, fruit forward wine, and this definitely is a lighter style Zinfandel. It's got good acidity. I get the red, kind of black and red raspberry coming through on the palate, a little bit of red and black currants. I even get a little bit of blackberry, but I like the acid, making it a really good wine for barbecue and for food. It's definitely not overpowering, it's very subtle, but it still has a lot of those Zinfandel characteristics that you're looking for. Now, I'm not saying I'm not against big Zins. I like them, but I like this. And it's funny because I just had a Ferrari Carano Zin not too long ago, and I thought the same thing about that one. It was a lighter style Zin, which, you know, a lot of us appreciate that in a Zinfandel, and I forgot to write the price down on this. That's crazy. Crazy. I'll put it in the underneath what the price is on this. Sorry about that. I was doing a lot of research on the Follette wines and the Quivira as far as their biodynamic practices and forgot to write the price down. Sorry about that. Look for it Down below, I will put the price on it. I'm going to go B+ on that. I think it's a very well-made Zin. I like it. I think it's, for those of you that don't like that bombastic Zin, for those of you who shy away from Zin for that very reason, I think the alcohol on this is 14.2, which is for a Zinfandel, that's pretty good. Nice, good acidity. That's what I like in this Zin. I'm going to go B+. I really like all these wines. Very nice surprise for me, and I hope you, if you can seek them out and you're looking for these styles, do so. I mean, the Chardonnay, beautiful for shellfish, and just, a little bit different, but really good. Thanks for watching. Remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Drink it. Enjoy it. Be willing to try new things. Be willing to try a Zin. If you've stayed away from Zin because they're too heady, try the Quivira. It is really subtle and nice. But never, ever, ever let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. And if we do that together, we can take the snob out of wine.